Good evening. It's both an honor and a privilege to introduce tonight's keynote speaker at this year's Distance Education Conference. Tonight's keynote speaker is an authority on motivating the adult learner. As we discuss distance learning at this conference tonight, we will seek to understand what motivates and drives the adult learner to pursue a distance education. Because there are a large number of distance learners that are over the age of 30, it is imperative that we understand their motivations, their values, and their priorities. And often it is not just the pursuit of a diploma or a degree that motivates the adult learner. It is a concrete result that comes from the completed coursework or a program of study that will bring in many cases a new job opportunity, a better quality of life, a higher level of pay, or even a higher level of self-esteem that tends to drive the adult learner. In a recent research study by the Worcester Polytechnic Institute, it was found that over 42% of all distance learning students are over the age of 35. In fact, when you look at the profile of a distance learner, the average age of a distance learner is 34 years old. 66% of all distance learners are male, 25% have a college degree, and 50% have some sort of college education. 75% of all distance learners are married. This tells us that as a whole, distance learning students are somewhat older than standard traditional graduate or undergraduate students. As a result, this group is motivated differently. This means that today's distance learning instructors must understand what these motivations are in order to be effective educators of adults. Tonight's speaker is an authority in this area. Evan Goss wrote in his recent article, Motivating Adult Learners, that the type of motivation an adult learner has is directly influenced by the learner's basic outlook and objectives for a program. In other words, most adults have a specific reason for enrolling in courses and programs as opposed to a younger student who may just be trying to earn enough credits to receive a degree or a diploma. So what exactly is adult education? According to the European Commission, adult education is defined this way: all forms of learning undertaken by adults after having left initial education and training, however far that process went. It includes learning for personal, civic, and social purposes, as well as for employment-related purposes. It can take place in a variety of environments, in and outside of formal education and training systems. In this environment, adults are motivated to learn for reasons that differ dramatically from those students in their teens and 20s. It can be the realization that their present career is neither satisfying nor rewarding, and they have a desire to go back to school and seek a degree or certification in order to change their careers. Or it can simply be a desire to make more money to support their family and provide a higher quality of life. Often distance learning provides adults with families a desirable method and path to attain additional degrees and certifications. In a recent article by Steve Hulls comparing adult learners to child learners, he states that there is a presumed dichotomy between pedagogy or child education and andragogy or adult education. Pedagogy is characterized by a teacher-centered authority and formal organization of subject content areas, whereas andragogy is considered less formal collaborative learning in which both the teachers and the students work together to develop objectives and program content. Karen Toms gives this great description of adult learners, teachers of adult learners, and then both learners and teachers collectively. She describes adult learners as modes that are much more mature than undergraduate or graduate traditional students. They're also more problem-centered than content-centered when it comes to learning. They also desire skills that can be used as a result of their learning processes. Often this is due to on-the-job experiences and expectations that they have received already in the workplace. She also describes teachers of adults in terms of that they should permit and encourage active participation in their adult learners. And they should also encourage the use of past experiences to assist in the learning process as well as incorporating experimental activities. And then she describes both teachers and learners collectively as, first of all, they should plan collaboratively, and they should evaluate their program, and they should redesign and develop new learning activities based on these evaluations. Adults respond better to a more free-flowing learning environment that is collaborative in nature. According to Hulls, this often involves group discussions, workshops, and case studies that promote learning. This type of learning encourages creativity and self-exploration in order to find answers as opposed to teachers or instructions simply providing them these answers. Sandra Bernson writes in her 2009 article, Motivating Older Adults, that in order to understand how to properly motivate adult learners, the needs of the adult learner must be understood. And perhaps one of the greatest differences between the adult learner and the secondary school learner is the relationship between the instructor and the student. The relationship with adult learners and their instructors is much more interactive in nature and tends to promote a peer-to-peer type relationship. Bernstein goes on to say that at this level, students have much more of a working relationship with their teachers. Most adult learners have been exposed to the world of work and are used to a professional working relationship with their peers and superiors, and they look for the same type of relationship with their teachers as well. Adult learners are less intimidated by their instructors and want to have a peer relationship that promotes a strong working connection similar to the one would have in a traditional working environment. As an educator, we must understand this and know how to manage these types of relationships and keep them from coming too distant or too close. Our keynote speaker will focus on two central characteristics of the adult learner as he speaks with us tonight. These two characteristics are as follows. The first one is that the adult learner is a goal-oriented learner, and therefore distance education programs should provide learning environments where they can accomplish these goals. The second characteristic is that adult learners are learning-oriented, therefore distance learning programs should provide learning environments where they can acquire interesting and relevant knowledge and skills. Please welcome our keynote speaker.